If you're wanting to know how to bully-proof your child, then this is the exact video that you need to be watching. Hi, I'm Candace. I have a group and a company called Grit, Growing Resilience Within. And everything that I share is from my own personal experience. I am results driven. I'm not a therapist and I'm not here to give you advice. I'm sharing this from my own personal experience. And I believe that the more that we do this, the more that we can help other people and the more that people can see that they are not alone. So your child comes home from school and they've had a really bad day and they open up to you and you are just sick and tired of hearing the same child's name coming up. You have tried to equip your child. You have tried to teach them how to stand up for themselves. You have brought it to the attention of the school and the teacher, but it just hasn't stopped. You've done all the research, so you definitely know that this is a typical example of bullying, and you really are at your wit's end. So you almost feel like the only way to go about this now is to remove your child from the school. So I want you to know, first and foremost, that you're not alone, that there are so many more parents dealing with this exact same thing, and knowing that is very comforting. The next thing that you need to remember is that it is very normal for your mommy or daddy instincts to be kicking in, for you to be wanting to fight the fight, and for you wanting to go and gouge the child's eyes out. After all, it's very instinctive, and for you to protect is completely normal. But what if I told you that what is unfolding right now has the potential to be one of the biggest gifts that will equip your child for life? If you think I'm crazy and if you're wanting to click off this video, please don't, and just hear me out. Stick with me. So there's a saying that says, you teach people how to treat you. So in the olden days when we went to school, we were taught, if they hit you, hit them back. If they're mean to you, be mean back to them. Or maybe we were even taught, oh, you know what, that child has issues. You're not the one with the issues. That child has issues. But from my own personal experience, fighting fire with fire is how wars are started. And Albert Einstein has a beautiful saying which says, the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. So if we are wanting to have a different result, and if we're wanting the bullying to stop, we're going to need to start to do things very differently. One of the single biggest gifts you can give your child is the gift of grit or resilience. The gift of inner strength and the tools to equip them that when things happen or when challenges come their way, they know the best way to deal with them. It is so empowering for your child to feel equipped. It is disempowering for you to solve all their problems. So children with grit just see things very differently. When something is difficult, they ask themselves, what am I learning? Instead of, I don't want to do this, and instead of shying away from their problems, they literally learn to face their problems head on. They see it as an opportunity to grow. So they embrace the difficult things that come their way versus running away from them. How different is that? So let's go back to the scenario now. Your child has come home, they've had a really bad day, and you are feeling very emotionally charged. This is a 4-step process that I do with a lot of my clients, and it really is helpful, and I use it often. So the very first step is to tend to yourself. So you are not going to make any decisions. You're not going to be discussing this with your child. You're not going to be picking up the phone to sort this out until you've tended to yourself. Now, tending to yourself could look very different for each person. For me, it might be to go and get a cup of tea. For somebody else, it might be to go and scream into your pillow and get rid of all your anger. For somebody else, it might be to take many, many deep conscious breaths. Some people might want to meditate. It just means calming down and tending to yourself, because let's face it, When we react out of anger, or when we react out of an emotional space that is very highly charged, we do not get the results that we're looking for. And that is the time when we generally look back and we go, you know what, I really could have handled that differently. So step one, tend to yourself. The next thing that you could do is you could call your child and have a little conversation with them and just let them talk. Ask them what has happened and let them tell you from their perspective. Do not come up with an answer. Do not try to fix it. Just listen. Children who feel like they're being heard feel like they matter, which means that they're going to grow up to be highly emotionally intelligent, which means they're going to be successful human beings. So when you listen without interrupting and when you listen without trying to fix it, they feel important. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to validate their feelings and you're going to speak about their feelings. So how did that make you feel? Oh, I was so embarrassed. Oh, I hate it when I feel embarrassed. Just really, basically you want them to feel like their feelings are valid. Okay, then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to discuss with them what is in their control and what is not in their control. From my own personal experience, the amount of time that I've spent trying to control things that are not mine to control was the time when I was the most unhappy, when I had given away my power, and when I was extremely powerless. So in order for us to feel more powerful and empowered, we need to take that control back, and that we can do with a simple question. What is in our control and what is not in our control? So what is in our control is generally whatever we own, whatever our part is. And what the other person is doing really is not in our control. We can try and influence it, which is where I'm going to go in a minute, but really that child bullying your child right now is not in your control. So when you've discussed with them what is in their control and what is not in their control, the next step is to make a clear choice. Now, these are some of the options of choices that you could make. You could choose to let it go. If it was something that was irritating at the time, but actually it would serve you better to let it go, then teaching children to let things go and not to have to do something about every little thing is really, really empowering. So I did this all the time in my classroom. The kids would go, oh, he stepped on my foot. And I'll say, and they go, I choose to let it go. But then it was something more important, then they could make other choices. I'm not saying they need to let everything go, but the little things, the more the little things irritate you, there's going to be more little things to worry about. And those things, you can totally teach them how to just let them go. It feels amazing. The next choice that they could make is to use their words. They need a backbone and they need inner strength, and they need to say, that is not okay. How you just spoke to me, what you just said is not okay. And then the child might laugh, which is not in their control. The child might carry on, that's not in their control. The child might mock them, that's not in their control. But the more they learn to stand up for themselves, the more they learn that they have a voice, the less the child is going to keep coming at them, because they're going to see that they're not getting away with it. So using their words and standing up for themselves does not mean me being mean back. It does not mean fighting fire with fire. It means saying that that is not okay, and I'm not going to accept that kind of behavior. There's another thing I want to chat about for a second, and that is the beautiful word empathy. Now, I believe that empathy is the very thing that's going to change our world. And if we can teach children this properly, if we can teach children how to be empathetic and how to put themselves in somebody else's shoes, wow, what a different world we would have. So I'd like to relate a personal story, and that was for my own beautiful princess of a daughter. And we had interviews at the beginning of the year. It was around about in March. And the proudest mommy moments I've had for a while was this. Her teacher said that they were doing a set book, and the set book, she's in grade 5, was about a bully. And the book is called A Boy in the Girl's Bathroom. And they were discussing this character, which was the bully, and children were giving words such as unkind, mean, rough. And my daughter put up her hand and she said, I think that boy needs help. I think that little boy needs love. And the teacher said she was gobsmacked. She couldn't believe that all the time that she'd been doing this set work or this book, she'd never had a child put themselves in somebody else's shoes. So I was so super proud of that moment. So imagine being that person is something we can teach children. So we could have this conversation with our kids and we say to them, okay, so can you imagine what it must feel like for him or her? Can you imagine always needing to feel the need to fight or protect or to stand up for yourself? Why do you think they're doing it? Although we don't know what the answer is to this, we can ask the question and say, why do you think they're doing it? It might be because they've never been taught how to treat people. It might be because that's how they've been shown how to, maybe somebody's treating them like that. Remember, we don't know, so we're actually kind of assuming, which is not always 100% healthy, but it does help with being empathetic. But mostly, the reason that this is happening is because you, my darling child, are allowing it. And the sooner we teach our children to stand up for themselves, but not in a mean way and not by repeating the same bad behavior, the sooner we teach them how to teach people how to treat them, can you imagine what you're going to be setting up for them for life? They're going to associate with teenagers who treat them properly because they won't accept anything less. The other thing that they're going to be doing is they're going to be attaching themselves to healthy relationships one day when they are adults. And that is why I said at the beginning of this video, this could be potentially be the biggest gift you have ever given your child. Is it the easiest way? Maybe not. It might take a little bit longer. But let me tell you, your guidance and your love and your understanding through this time is not only teaching you things about yourself, but it's also equipping your children for life. And that is what I am here for, and grit, growing resilience within. So I really hope that this helped. I really hope that some things resonated for you here. The thing with grit and this whole program and this entire concept is that we do not solve our children's problems. We guide them and we give advice, but at the end of the day, we need to give them specific tools, and this is a tool. This is just another tool. We give them tools to be able to deal with their own stuff because we want them to be empowered. We want them to be resilient. We want them to have a high emotional intelligence. And that is what we're all about. So I'm very excited to tell you about something that I'm implementing. And that is, if you are experiencing something at the moment, it could be in parenting, it could be personally. Remember, as a parent, as a teacher, whoever you are, you have got such a ripple effect on the children and the people in your lives. So when you are dealing with something and you're thinking that it's your problem to solve and you keeping it to yourself, it's very different to saying, you know what, I'm going to send Candace an email, and I'm going to give you all the details in a minute, and we're going to have a discussion about this. And then when Candace makes another video about this, other people are going to start to see that actually they're quite normal, that there's nothing to be ashamed of, and in actual fact, it's all about growing up, it's all about life. And we think our stuff is unique. We think that we're dealing with things that other people aren't. It's almost like we feel a bit shameful. And I want to create a society where we don't need to be embarrassed. That when we're going through something, that we are vulnerable and that we share our stuff because it can inspire and help other people. So if there is something, please go onto our website, which is www.grit-grow, so grit-grow.co.za. I want you to send me an email with a little synopsis of whatever's going on. And when I've made a video, this is how we change the world. This is how we help other people. The other thing is, if you aren't on my Facebook page, which is just grit-grow, which is on Facebook, please join because I'm hoping to do way more of this kind of thing. And if you have friends that are parents, if you have anybody that you know that could really, really do with this video today, please share it with them. And till next time, I really hope that you benefited today, and I can't wait to share my next video.